Looking at the $840 billion market cap of Google, absorbing a $5 billion fine quite nicely this morning, the stock doing absolutely nothing. Do you see a risk of this escalating, though?
I don't think it necessarily escalates on this particular issue. The challenge is what will other regulators do around the world, and obviously folks are attracted to the $100 billion in cash that they have on the balance sheet. I just don't think you're going to see a huge escalation on this particular issue.
Ben, what do you think of the argument that the EU is ultimately making in the decision they've made today?
Listen, I don't think there's a lot on the merits. The reality is I think that the EU is looking for ways to hurt American tech. Obviously, the U.S. companies have done phenomenally well in Europe and across the globe, and so I think that they're looking for ways to help their own incumbent players actually have an impact, and it's very difficult to see that happening, particularly through means like this. I mean, Google will find ways around this to make sure that Android can be a viable system.
So, Ben, this is really interesting. Your point, and just to make it even more clearer, you think this is political, and it's not about competition at all?
Listen, I think that there are debatable points around what they're doing. You can say that some of these issues are infringing on the rights of some of the competitors, but the reality is no one is forced to use Android. They're choosing to do this. The handset makers are choosing to use it, and they're choosing to use it because consumers want it. And so I just don't see how they can make the real argument that this is monopolistic, illegal behavior. I think you're going to see Google fighting back, and I think that they will figure out ways to make the business model work.
So, Ben, it's a big question, I guess, for a lot of people. Is this a 1990s type Microsoft scenario, or is it just not that severe yet?
I don't think it's that severe yet. I think in large part the EU is fighting battles that are essentially over. I don't think you're going to see it play out in the same way we saw with Microsoft years and years ago. What I do think you're going to see is Google continuing to try to figure out how they can best monetize this successful Android platform.